My name is Luis. I've never been told no. After all, my dad was a construction magnate and spoiled me terribly. I was surrounded by luxury and jewels since I was a kid. I had it all. Designer clothes, private jets, and celebrity parties. I spent ridiculous amounts of money. However, this story is about the things that money can't buy. I was used to immediately getting everything I wanted. So, by the time I turned 17, I ran out of ideas and no longer knew what to spend Dad's fortune on. Should I buy a golden statue of myself? Or a fountain full of diamonds? Or…
Louise, life is not just about having fun. When I was your age…
Oh, not that again. Dad used to be poor and loved talking about how he got rich.
You should learn how to do something too, sweetie.
Dad, don't start. My hands weren't made for work. Some time ago, Dad's company had built a luxury ski resort in Switzerland. I went there to check it out during the winter holidays. Dad couldn't come, but he sent 2 bodyguards with me. Okay, Baldies, grab my suitcases and let's get going. Ciao, Dad. When I got off the plane, I dropped my brand new iPhone in the snow. Damn, it matched my purse so well. Dad had bought a lot of establishments in that town, so it basically belonged to him. Everyone there knew whose daughter I was and greeted me accordingly. Listening to their compliments was boring. I knew that I was gorgeous. After a walk, I came to my chalet. Hey goons, hang my dresses in the wardrobe. I don't want to ruin my manicure. I opened my laptop and accidentally spilled fresh orange juice on it. It immediately crashed. Oh no. Now I had no phone and no laptop. I would die of boredom if I couldn't even check my Instagram. I demanded that the bodyguards immediately find me a repairman and bring him over. The goons quickly nodded and ran out the door. What was I supposed to do in that dump all holiday? It was so boring. Soon, the bodyguards came back with some cute guy. It was a repairman called Max. He was dressed like a beggar, but looked amazing anyway. Wow! I was sure that he would stare at me with enamored eyes like everyone else. But to my surprise, he just rolled his eyes.
Why did you drag me here so late? I don't have the parts to repair such an expensive model with me. So, as they say in my country, adios.
Wasn't he impressed by me? I was irresistible! Nothing like that had ever happened to me before, but it was even more interesting that way. I would make him fall for me. When Max headed out the door, I snapped my fingers and my bodyguards blocked his way. I'm having a one-person party. Will you be my waiter?
Not interested.
He was so stubborn. I made a fan out of green bills and waved it. How about now? He snorted but agreed. I told Max to change into a tuxedo. He looked like he just stepped off a podium.
It's so uncomfortable and itchy.
Then, I told him to cook and bring me the dishes on his head. And when I didn't like what he made, "You call this a carbonara? It's slop! Try it yourself!" I dumped the pasta on Max's head. He was bubbling with anger. It was fun. I had a great time and threw the money he earned at him. Max looked at me angrily and picked up the bills. There was no need to act coy. I know that everything and everyone can be bought.
You're going to pay for the way you treat people.
After saying that, he left and I went to bed. In the morning, I went skiing to show off my new outfit. The instructor said that I had to practice before getting up on skis. I wasn't there to listen to his lectures. I decided to ignore him. There were long queues in front of each track. I chose the one that seemed the least popular and headed toward it. The instructor tried to stop me.
This track is too dangerous.
Don't tell me what to do. I'll figure it out. I got on the skis and pushed off. And started skiing. Whee! My speed was increasing by the second. I suddenly realized that I didn't know how to stop. How do I control this thing? At some point, I flew off the track and fell down a steep cliff. It was a nightmare. I eventually flew up, fell into snow, and hit my head. The last thing I saw was a small hut in the distance and someone's worried face. I opened my eyes and found myself in a cramped room. My head was pounding and it was hard to focus. What happened? Where was I? And who was I? Then, a doctor and some cute guy walked into the ward. The doctor talked to me and asked me all sorts of questions for a long time, but I didn't remember anything at all. It was like someone had deleted an entire season of my life. They left, but the cute guy soon came back.
Louise, you were skiing and hit your head, but you're fine, and the doctors say that your memory will return.
Phew, that's good. And who are you?
Me? I'm your boyfriend, Max. We live with my sisters in a hut close to the town.
Wow, that stunned me. I felt a bit shy when Max gently took my hand and helped me get out of the bed.
Come on, Louise. It's time for us to go home. The doctor says you'll feel better in a familiar environment.
We got on a snowmobile and drove to a small hut. To be honest, I thought it would be a bit more impressive. There wasn't much space, and the furniture was cheap and uncomfortable. Ew. What about my parents? Are they, by any chance, rich?
Oh, baby, I love your sense of humor.
They live in Mexico, remember? I earn money and send it to our families. And you do the housework and take care of my sisters, Adriana and Catalina. At that moment, 2 girls came out and hugged me.
Hey!
Louise, sis, you're finally home. Hey, your hands are covered in paint. Don't get my clothes dirty. The girls looked at each other and pouted. Then, Max said that he had to go to work and it was time for me to do the chores. He kissed me on the cheek and left. I felt myself blush. It was clear I was head over heels in love with him. Since I didn't remember anything, I asked Adriana and Catalina to tell me what I usually did around the house. Oh my god, the list was so long! Please kill me now. First, I had to chop wood and light a fire in the fireplace. I could barely lift the axe. I wasn't Wonder Woman, all right? You are so clumsy and weak! Lighting a fire proved a challenge, too. You're covered in soot! Oh yeah? Come here, let me give you a hug. You won't catch me! Then, it was time to do the laundry and clean up. Why did I even bother getting a manicure? I couldn't even wring out a rag with such long nails. Damn it, I broke another nail. Then, we all got terribly hungry. I wanted to order a pizza, but it turned out we didn't even have the money for that. I had no choice but to cook myself. Unfortunately, it seemed I could burn water. I must have forgotten how to cook because of the amnesia. Long story short, I almost started a fire while experimenting in the kitchen. Instead of a normal dish, I ended up with a whole pot of coals. Oh, it doesn't look good. I think I'll just eat snow. Yeah, me too. By the evening, every cell of my body was hurting. Did I really spend every day like that? It was a nightmare. All I wanted was to go to sleep, but Max's sisters made me play with them. Read us a book. No, let's make a snow slide. Shut up and leave me alone. I'm going to bed, and you can do whatever you want. Catalina and Adriana pouted, and I could see that they were about to start crying. Then, Max came home. The girls happily hugged him, and he gave them sweets.
Have you been good? How was your day, babe?
It was terrible. I don't want to live like some sort of housekeeper. I broke all my nails. I'm tired and hungry. It's cold here, and your sisters are naughty little monsters. Max looked around. It seemed like a hurricane had gone through the house. The kitchen was full of smoke, and there was a plate of freshly baked coal on the table. Then, he smiled tenderly and said that he would fix it. He cleaned up, lit the fire, and cooked a casserole that smelled delicious. His sisters helped him. To my surprise, that shack started to look cozy. I watched Max read to his sisters and felt ashamed of myself for being so bad at just about everything. When Max left for work the next day, I started doing the chores again. This time, I tried harder and realized that I was getting better at it. I even managed to cook something edible. In the evening, I asked Adriana and Catalina if they wanted to play a game with me. You have such beautiful dolls. Let's make a cardboard house for them. We laughed and joked a lot. The girls soon fell asleep. I went to get a blanket for them and suddenly screamed when I saw someone peeking at us through the window. I was so scared. Luckily, Max soon came home. He said that it was just my imagination, but I didn't think so. A couple of days passed that way. I didn't get my memory back, but I suddenly realized that even though life wasn't easy and I was poor, I was still happy. Max had a day off, and I decided to cook something special. While he was playing in the snow with his sisters, I sneaked out to a store. Weirdly enough, everyone in the town stared at me suspiciously and whispered to each other. Did I have soot on my face again? And then I saw 2 goons, and some images flashed through my mind. A private plane, a luxurious life, skiing and falling. I remembered everything. I wasn't Max's girlfriend. I was Louise Ritchie. My dad was a millionaire, and I was his spoiled heiress. I remembered seeing Max after falling. He must have brought me to the hospital. And then, when he found out I'd lost my memory, he must have decided to get revenge for the party and told me I was his girlfriend. He even convinced his sisters to lie to me. Oh, he was nuts! I came up to my bodyguards. They must have been going crazy with worry, just like my dad. Hey, Baldies, do you want to get fired? Why didn't you find me? Their eyes bulged out like they'd seen a ghost. Then, I told them to get a helicopter ready and take me to Max's cabin. When we arrived there, I was mad as hell and ready to pounce on that liar.
Babe, what?
I've had it with your lies. I remember everything now. I'm rich.
Oh, well, I hope you've learned your lesson and realized you shouldn't treat people like trash.
No freaking way! I'm going back to my perfect life of luxury, and you can stay in your beggar's hut. How could you use your sisters like that, you psycho?
Someone had to teach you a lesson.
You should be grateful I didn't call the police. After that, I got into the helicopter and came back to my chalet. I went back to enjoying my wealth. I even had calluses because of that moron now. Ugh, I wanted to get a manicure, but suddenly froze because I remembered something else. Back then, someone really had been watching me in the hut. My bodyguards had known where I was that whole time, but hadn't even tried to help. Traitors! How dare they? I'll tell Dad everything, and he'll fire you. You'll never find another job. The next day, we came back home. I immediately burst into Dad's study and told him everything. Of course, I ratted the bodyguards out. Instead of looking after me, they had been lazing about. Dad frowned, and the goons looked down. Actually, sweetie, I knew about everything too. What? I felt so betrayed. It turned out that when Max found me, he contacted my bodyguards and father. He also used that chance to tell my dad about the way I treated him. When Dad and Max found out I was fine, but had short-term amnesia, they figured out how to teach me a lesson and show me what it meant to live an ordinary life and have to work. I told your bodyguards to keep an eye on you to make sure that you were all right. They reported to me. Didn't you like being independent? Just admit that you were wrong and treated that guy badly. His words made my blood boil. How dare he do that to his own daughter? I shouted that I would never talk to Dad again and ran out of his study. At first, I was glad that life went back to normal. I spent Dad's fortune on jewelry and clothes. But for some reason, it didn't make me happy anymore. The diamonds shone, but they couldn't keep me warm. I got bored and decided to do something. The maid almost fainted when I said that I wanted to clean up my room myself. After that, I got hungry. I didn't go to a restaurant, but found a cooking video and made ginger cookies. They were yummy. I gave them to the maids and bodyguards, who were actually quite nice. And then I thought that it would be great to do something with my own hands, and remembered how much I loved building a dollhouse with Adriana and Catalina. To be honest, I really missed those girls. As for Max, I couldn't stop thinking about him. He was from Mexico and only came to Switzerland to earn money for his sick mother. That's why he didn't tell me to go to hell when we first met. I realized that I had been terribly rude and truly deserved to be taught a lesson. I had to fix everything. Dad, can we talk? Come on in, sweetie. You know, I've been thinking a lot. You were right. I was spoiled. I didn't appreciate people and didn't know how to do anything. Dad was so moved that he agreed to let me fly to Switzerland and talk to Max. I'll get the plane ready. I ran to the hut as fast as I could. I didn't even know what I was going to say. I just really wanted to see Max and the girls. But when I walked in, I saw that the hut was empty. Had they moved? I went down to the city and asked around about them. Their neighbors confirmed that Max and his sisters had moved. Oh no! What if they decided to go back home to Mexico? I would definitely never find them then. After all, I didn't know Max's number or his last name. I spent several more hours trying to find him, to no avail. And then I returned to the plane, feeling miserable. It served me right. Soon, I got back home. I felt terrible. Finding such love was rare, and I'd wasted it. When I walked into Dad's study, at first, I thought I was dreaming. It was impossible. Sitting next to Dad was Max! My knees buckled, and I almost fell, but Max caught me. What are you doing here? It turned out that I wasn't the only one who regretted the way everything ended. Max confessed that he realized how much he cared for me after I left. His sisters kept telling him to get me back. Finding out the address of a rich heiress wasn't a problem. While I was looking for them in Switzerland, they came to my house. Dad suggested they stay and surprise me. Wow, it sounded like a fairy tale. I shouldn't have deceived you, but we can start over, right? I'm Max. Nice to meet you. I'm Louise. What a beautiful name. At that moment, Adriana and Catalina ran into the study. I hugged them until they squeaked. After finding out about Max's mother, Dad offered him a good position in his company, but he politely declined. Thank you, but I want to achieve everything myself, like you once did. But I will ask for permission to take your daughter on a date. Dad wiped away a proud tear and, of course, gave us his blessing. Now we all live in the same city. I make children's toys and give them to charities. Max's sisters go to a good school and Max himself is building a career. We're doing great. I realized that money can't buy happiness. Tell us, what was the most magical thing that happened to you this year?